All right, we're rolling. Cool. What's up, everybody? This is now what the IAM show is going to be about. We may still do some of those videos where we like break down stuff. If you guys send them in, we actually had a request, so we should do that on the next episode. But we're going to turn this more into like a podcast, just more of a conversation. At the end of the day, if we want to put out more content, we got to do what's fun for us, and that's way more fun. So we got Josh here, who is the CEO of Insurance Advertising Masters, and then we got this new random dude who just was begging to like be featured on our channel. His name's Tyler.
They're paying me to do this, just so you know.
He's been blowing us up. He's been like, please, can I do a cameo?
Like, yeah. He's like, all right, dude. I want to be an insurance influencer. So he paid us $10,000 to appear. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is Tyler. Tyler's a client. Tyler's crushed it. Tyler's grew his business to like 2.5 million a year in what, like 18 months or something like that?
Yeah, around there. Maybe a little less.
We got to know him really well, and he just learned a lot from me and got really smart at advertising, and so now he can like talk at our level. So we thought he'd be best. And he's learned his own things here.
I learned some from Justin, just maybe a little.
All right, well, cool. We're going to talk about AI. Everybody seems to be really interested in AI. It's our most searched and watched videos on our channel. So this whole podcast is going to be really centered around just AI, like what people can be doing. Obviously, like the most obvious thing is ChatGPT. And we could talk about ChatGPT for a long, long time. But I'd rather just talk about what other AI tools can insurance agents be using.
Yeah, there's a ton. There's a ton, man. So it depends on what you're trying to do.
I hate AI. It's a real. I'm a challenger.
Justin is basically anti-AI. He wants to reject where the world is going.
Yep, and me and Josh want to
embrace AI. We use it in everything we do. I can't even share. I'm hesitant to even open my ChatGPT because it would show how reliant on ChatGPT I am in my daily life outside of anything. It's like, how do I open this jar?
Hey, ChatGPT, I'm approaching a light and it just turned red. What do I do?
I'm about to that level as well. If you don't want to look at mine. You don't want to look at my ChatGPT because I probably have at least 10 conversations with it a day. It's probably half my brain, I would say, is ChatGPT now.
Well, my biggest problem, I mean, we can start here with like how should insurance agents be adopting or adapting? I'm not sure which one of those words it is, but AI into their business. And I think the obvious is yes, but to how much? And we're all going to have differing opinions on this, or at least you two are going to have the same, and I'm going to have a different one. But my biggest problem with AI is that people that don't already have skills needed to like grow their business will use it as a substitute, and they won't know how to like discern whether what it's giving them is good or not. So especially in advertising, like using it for copy and then just being like, oh, this is good. Using it for dude, there's so many things it can be used for that people aren't even probably using it for. Like I would use it for copy. I would use it for sales scripts. I would use it to write emails for me. I would use it to write texts if I'm trying to like turn a lead into an appointment. But not to write those things full on out, but like to ideate, right? Like that's where you guys really love to use it, isn't it?
I would agree with that. So I think the best place to use ChatGPT specifically in AI is just going to be to bounce ideas off of. I think that's where a lot of agents should start, is just they have an idea, they need some help expanding upon that idea, and instead of bouncing off a human and let's say paying somebody to bounce it off of, you could just bounce it off AI and say, hey, what do you think about this? How can I expand off of this idea? And you can do that with copy. You can do that with creative, with text messages, with scripts, like you're saying. And I think that's where AI, it's just kind of like an extension of your brain, but it's never, anytime you try to get it to create something from scratch for you, it's never going to work very well.
Well, like, okay, so different professions. I don't know if it's as prevalent in insurance, but for a long time, it was kind of a running joke that like engineers at Google, coders, whatever, were Google experts. So like, obviously they're at Google, but like in any profession, they'd be a Google expert. And the whole running joke was just get really good at using Google and it'll basically fill in the gaps where you like your knowledge gaps in your profession. And I feel like that has just shifted to AI. And it's basically allowed anyone to bridge the gap. If they have a knowledge gap around anything, they can get context to help them improve their skill set. So I get if someone has no context whatsoever on advertising or copy, and then they go to ChatGPT and they're like, "Hey, the real root issue of that scenario is the person doesn't know what a good question is." So they don't have enough context to go, "What would a good question be?" So they go to ChatGPT and they're like, "Hey, write me an ad." And obviously it's going to be garbage. But if they have just a little bit of context, it's crazy. In my own brain, I'm like solving it right now because someone with no context could go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I have no context on what a good ad looks like. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. What is a good question for me to ask you so that I can accomplish this?" And that will like skill them up. It's crazy, but it's like you just have to know. I think the issue is people approach, and I'm not a loyalist by any means. Tyler's not a loyalist. Like I'll use ChatGPT, I'll use Grok, I'll use Claude. Like I'll use
you guys aren't loyalists to specific models, but you guys are loyalists to AI.
yeah. It's just because it's not going away. It's like AI adoption is probably still really low overall. Like people, I don't know. It's interesting. A lot. It's even hard to say you're like any kind of an AI expert. Like the only real AI experts, more than likely, are being paid millions of dollars by these huge entities to help them implement. So
I mean, I would
the
say that
average
like an
person though
AI,
is going to need it.
I would say like an AI expert, if you want to use that word, are probably like the people that are actually like coding and like creating the models. But dude, I would say that both of you could probably right now go get a 200,000 plus salary for any corporate company looking for prompt engineers, just because of how much you guys have just gotten into it and just started testing things.
That's a good point. I mean, and to kind of expand on what Josh was saying, you have to give the AI context to make it work. One of the best things that I think I've done is giving it examples and having it translate those examples with context of my business. So you can do that with copy, which is the main thing you would do it with. But if you can provide it with as much context and examples that you want to model, it works really, really well and takes a lot of time off your plate. So
what's the, for those that are like, tactically, how can I do that? Are you uploading, and I know, but I'm just asking for them. Are you uploading like competitors' ads that you see? Are you transcribing those and uploading the transcription? Does
100%.
one work better than the other, like actually putting the video in there?
Yeah. So with ChatGPT specifically in any large language model, you're going to want to, for videos, you can't upload a video and it just get it. So what I like to do is get a transcription. You can use tools like there's free tools out there that'll transcribe video. I use TurboScribe, which is a paid tool that you can use to transcribe any video you want. Upload those transcripts to ChatGPT, give it some context.
You can even, not to throw you off, but you
No,
can
you're good.
even, if it's a YouTube video, YouTube has transcribes their own videos. So if you go to the
For
description
sure.
of a YouTube video, you can literally just grab the transcript from the YouTube video, like right there.
For sure. So yeah, you're going to want to get transcriptions. If it's videos, throw those into ChatGPT, give it some context about your business. And one thing I like to ask it is like, okay, so I have this transcription. I want to translate it to my business. Can you ask me any clarifying questions that you would need to know to accurately implement this script into my business? And then you answer all those questions for it, give it the context, and then it'll transcribe, it'll write you an ad based on what you gave to it. So that's a really powerful thing that I've done.
Yeah. Biggest thing I'll say, and like the reasons that, I like to just take the stance that I don't like it, but the three of us are like working on some pretty cool stuff that we'll probably talk about here in future episodes. But since we're working on, insurance advertisements together, basically how R3 dynamic works is they'll go and use all of these things that we've been talking about, ways to make ChatGPT smarter. And then, but see, dude, I can still recognize it. Even with how good you guys are, I can still recognize the second that it's not bad. I can just recognize how it writes. And then I always want to come in and tweak. So that's my biggest thing is like, but you guys probably wouldn't tweak it that much if I weren't there.
There have been plenty of times with our ads that you say, okay, yeah, this is good.
That's just because
But then it was written by ChatGPT. But so, okay, here's what's interesting. This is a concept that I've felt for a long time, which is why I've never. So I've never been a proponent of buying prompt packs or anything ever, because I think eventually prompting is going away. So like, it's interesting. A prompt engineer, yeah, that's a huge thing. It's like a new profession, but it's already starting to go away because it's literally the advancement of AI is not going to require a really good prompt. It's going to just require somebody to treat it like a essentially a knowledge base, a knowledge partner. And you, especially so nowadays with ChatGPT or ChatGPT specifically, if you use the voice mode, you can literally just you can talk through all kinds of ideas. You can just talk things out. You can be like, exactly what I said. What's a better question? What do you need to know? Like, how can you help me by, what's the best question I can ask you? You can ask that question. So prompting, the whole concept of like a really, really good prompt, all it comes down to is what's a good question? And how can I keep asking it good questions until I can get the outcome that I want? So that's the difference between somebody who, because if let's say I were to just go into ChatGPT right now and be like, hey, I sell cash value life insurance and I want to write an ad for Facebook, write me an ad. It's going to be terrible. But if you take that person and that result, and then you take the results that we get, which is just back and forth, ideation. Okay, this particular sentence, write that a different way. How can, what's a better way to write that? What should I keep in mind? What are pain points that I can use to change that? You're going to get a way better output than that first scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of like back in the day, people used to sell like targeting. Like if you had a specific niche, people would say like sell like a low ticket of like, here are the best audiences to target on Facebook. But as Facebook's algorithm has gotten better, you almost don't even need to target anymore, depending on how good your copy is. But even if you do, it's way less reliant because Facebook's gotten smarter. And so I think that's kind of what you're saying, is that the AI is getting better at understanding what you're trying to accomplish. Well, and like I think a really very specific example of this was like when image creation was new for AI, Midjourney. Prompting Midjourney was hard. Like you, if you just said, "Hey, create me an image of a doctor that is sad," like you would just get garbage. But then, it wanted like the camera settings that you would want the image to look like, and like the where the light's coming from and the angle that the light's hitting. Like you needed all that stuff for prompting. Now, and Midjourney may still be like that where you need that. I'm not sure, but most of the places that I'm generating images on anymore is chat, and you guys are probably using the other ones. But you don't even need to do that stuff anymore because it just kind of gets what you're looking for.
Now you can look at Elon Musk's Twitter and all the pictures of Grok image generation that he retweets. They're crazy. I mean, they're super
Grok
realistic in
uses
there.
Flux. So
Yeah.
Flux is a product by Black Forest Labs, and it's probably number one or number two right now. Midjourney's kind of fallen away in terms of it's just not quite as good. But it's interesting if you see a comparison of pretty much every single image generator. It's like, Tyler, we were looking at this yesterday with video generation. We were looking at all these tools. There's like Kling, there's Runway ML, there's Minimax. There's like all these video generation tools. And it's just crazy if you look at 12 months ago. Like 12 months ago, the outputs that were coming out of these video generators and image generators, they were like, can we use this? You can use maybe like 10% of these things. Now it's getting to the point where a lot of them are on par. And then you're like, now what we're getting to is this like Hollywood level? Yeah. That like, is this cinematic? Can I use this? Would people be able to tell? So it's evolving rapidly. It's going to get pretty crazy. Probably going to end up with chips in the brain. It's kind of what I'm thinking.
You will. Me and Justin won't.
But agents need to be using it. Like if an agent is not, and this is the case for pretty much anyone, but I mean literally any profession. Literally, I was like messing with my car the other day, and I'm going like, I don't know how to do this. Blah blah. Oh wait, hey AI, I'm doing this. This is my car. What should I do? Oh, boom, solved it. Right. But like any profession is going to need to be using AI to help them, because the reality is if the whole world is augmented and you're not, you're literally starting at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
So even if somebody is not skilled up and you're skilled up, but you don't use AI, they will be able to present almost like they're on your level, right? So it's like, it's going to take agents who have a lot of experience and knowledge or whatever in their space, they need to use AI for the benefit of their clients. Because if most agents believe they're the best person to help the person, right? They need to let AI level them up, because then they'll be on a whole nother level, right? So that's what it comes down to. Is you can be anti AI for sure, but I think there's a line between just being like, I refuse, I totally reject that,
For sure.
and then
It
being
needs
like,
to be
it's going to do everything I do.
it needs to be a healthy, especially around copy, like especially around trying to create something that's going to convert into leads, appointments. I think a healthy skepticism is really what I am, well, that like embodies my belief around it. But I mean, like you even saying that with your car, like you guys have kind of rubbed off on me the other day. I've got this like gas heater in my garage and it's now like 10 degrees outside. So I had to go turn it on, and I was like YouTubing, trying to find specific ones for that model. Couldn't find YouTube videos. So I was like, all right, we'll go to AI. And it told me exactly how to turn it on, because it's been a year since I'm the least handy person in the entire world. And it also helped me shut off my sprinklers for the winter. So I mean, it is pretty crazy the things that you can do with it. Okay, what I think would be cool is like let's break down agents into like 3 different categories, like brand new, kind of getting started, maybe like got some traction, um, and then like really advanced agents. What are like the biggest things of those 3 categories you guys think that they should be using AI tools for? I got some thoughts too, but we can just kick that off.
I'll kind of start at the back end. I mean, one thing for an advanced agent, if you're already bringing in a lot of revenue, is kind of what we're saying, bouncing ideas, but process improvement um, can be something that you can just, I mean, it's just about conversation with AI. You can give it, say, here's my current process, whether it be, whether you have a giant downline or you have a bunch of LOAs, like you can greatly optimize your process. And then that will also just drive more revenue and profit for you. I mean, just kind of giving, like just an example, giving AI your current process for lead to sale and be like, is there any holes in this that you think I could plug? Or you think I'm losing clients out of this flow somewhere in this process, is something that would be really powerful. And it can give you an answer like that rather than you sifting through each individual step of the process and you manually looking for those holes. It can probably, if you give it enough context, it will find the holes where you can plug in and stop leaking money or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, that gave me an idea as you were saying that. Like, you know, somebody grows rapidly, say like they're a Medicare agent or a health insurance agent, and the last AEP they had like 100 clients or 200 clients, and then they figured out how to generate leads and scaled, and now they've got like 1,000 or 1,500. You can go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, I've got annual enrollment period coming up. This is what it means. This is what it looks like. I've now got 5 times the amount of clients, and it's still just me, or maybe I've got one person. What's the most efficient way or efficient ways that I can tackle this while still maintaining new business and servicing all the existing clients that are going to need help? Just see what it says. It's going to give you probably a lot of ideas that you haven't thought of before. Because it can grab, I mean, AI has access to everything. So it has access to people that are making YouTube videos on this stuff, people that have written articles on this stuff. And then it just has its own ideas that it can extrapolate from other businesses as well, too.
Yeah, so I think about, I mean, the realistically, it's probably like conservatively 70% of people don't really understand how much AI can help them in their day to day. Especially even when you tell them, people have to experience it. People have to, just like your sprinklers and all that, people have to experience just trying to use AI. And once a problem gets solved, that's kind of the click. I feel like that's when it clicks for people and they go, wow, that just helped me solve that problem. And what would I have done before? 2 years ago, what would I have done? I probably would have gotten on Google. I would have Googled something. I would have seen a massive list of links. I would have had to go through and click all those links, digging for some kind of answer. I would have had to post on Reddit. I mean, my brain immediately, I look at all these Facebook groups and I see all these questions asked in Facebook groups, and I'm like, AI can answer that. Like, easy. AI can answer that easily. So I look at maybe a newer agent who is doing, let's say, mortgage protection leads on the life side, or, just like your typical Medicare agent. I would, so let's say a Medicare agent who's just getting started could go to ChatGPT and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm generating business. This is my sales process. This is what I typically sell. This is what that nets me. How can I improve my lead generation? How can I get myself more opportunity? And then what conversations could I be having with these prospects to cross sell, like to find gaps? What are some gaps? What are some other products I could sell them? You could even literally say, okay, what are the carriers that I would want to use for that? So I mean, a new agent could basically, whereas before, most agents who are going through that process are going to be, they're going to have to experience years of that process to figure out how to find a way to improve it. Whereas like an agent who's doing that, talking to ChatGPT, it could shrink their timeline down to a couple months, to where a new agent might sell Medicare for years and only sell Medicare for years, and maybe dental. It's like for years. But if they just talk to ChatGPT, they're like, oh, I could be getting annuities, and then I could be selling cancer, and I could be, this is a good opportunity to sell life or whatever. So
That's where my thought went to with a beginner agent. It's because, like, one, I think it requires a little bit of a level of humbleness to realize and to tell ChatGPT. You don't have to go tell the world, but that you're probably not good at sales. You're probably not good at anything, to be honest. Or you're not to the level where you want to be. Otherwise, you'd just be growing and you wouldn't have any issues. But even if you are growing, you could grow at a faster rate. And so for like a brand new agent, for me, I would be in there being like, okay, you got to kind of have some level of awareness as to why other people are succeeding in order to be able to ask the right questions. But we just have so much awareness because of what we do. But if they're a life agent,
wait, not to throw you off. Okay. Not to throw you off. I agree. But at the same time, you could just say, this is what I'm doing. I feel like I'm stuck. So it does come with that humility. It's like, if you go and talk to ChatGPT and you're like, I'm a baller, it's going to think you're a baller. It's going to be like,
and it's
oh,
gonna
this
blow
person
smoke
is
up
a
your ass
baller.
too. And it's
Yes.
gonna, yeah.
But if you're like, I feel
good.
like I'm struggling, I feel like I'm stuck. Why do I see agents who are doing XYZ? How can I get there? What am I missing?
Yeah.
And then it can help you kind of get context to, again, ask better questions.
Cool. So yeah, let's just say it gives you the answer that I would think, or if you have your own context, one of the biggest ways that you can start improving is selling bigger policies, right? So like if you're an insurance agent, you're only selling final expense. Most people sell final expense because they're captive to the leads that they can buy, and they're stuck in a system where that's the only thing that's taught. It's like, hey, we buy these leads. This is the exact script. Just do it. You're going to call, like, you're going to do a lot of the stuff that like most humans just typically don't like doing. But if you realize, hey, that person's killing it because they net $5,000 a sale and I net $640 a sale. Okay, I need to learn how to sell life insurance in a different way. Okay, so first thing I would do is go ask ChatGPT. It's like, okay, I know I want to sell IULs or whole life. What's this infinite banking thing? Before, you would have had to read books, you would have had to talk to people, but you can just ask ChatGPT that in the first place. Start learning. It'll cut your time down from what I call being a shitty insurance agent to being a good insurance agent. And the only difference is the knowledge that you have of the products that you're licensed to sell. If you have all the tools in your tool belt, but if you don't know how to pull them out and use them, then they're not going to help you. And so chat can help you drastically cut down the amount of time it takes to learn the things that you're already licensed to sell. So you can ask it, hey, explain to me as if I was a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old, whatever, how an IUL works. Okay, then ask more and more questions, and it'll I would take some of the things that it's saying and maybe verify it with somebody that you have in your life that could actually be a mentor to you. But now you don't have to like really take up a ton of their time. You can kind of come to them with a much better conversation. So that's the first thing. But then as I'm learning, I'm going to ask it, okay, now I'm going to go have conversations with people in my life. How can I explain this to them in a way that's immediately understandable, that a 10-year-old would understand? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to sell beyond. I think like the biggest problem from somebody going from like just getting their license, learning to sell, to actually being able to make it in this business comes down to sales skills. And sales skills just boils down to being able to explain what you have to sell in a way that other people find enticing. So I would ask ChatGPT, how do I do that? The next thing is like setting appointments, because most people that have initial success have warm market. But the way that you sell to warm market, who's your friends and family or a referral, doesn't require any sort of sales skills whatsoever. You can fumble your way through it and still make sales. But the second you have to expand beyond that, you have to be sharp. Your processes have to be tight. And that's where using chat in order to like get a script, right? You might have a script to sell final expense to these specific leads, but now you can use ChatGPT to get a script for a different type of lead or a different type of person or a different type of product. You can use that to extrapolate. So that would be like where my mind goes for a new agent, is just like learning those basic skills.
You could even rip the script. So if you're on YouTube and you're following some of these guys who run live appointments on YouTube or whatever, you could literally transcribe, just go grab the transcription from the video and say, hey, here's a script that I've seen works really well. Apply it to what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many ways to, man, I mean,
I would
it's
say
incredible.
The lowest barrier to entry, and what I would recommend new agents or anybody that's just new to AI do, is get ChatGPT on your phone, use the advanced voice. And like when you're in the car, typically you're listening to music or you're listening to a podcast, have a conversation with it. And that way it's almost like a podcast tailored to you and your questions. So like that's one of the most powerful things you can do. And it's an easy barrier to entry. You just have a conversation with it and ask the questions you want to ask.
What's good about that?
There,
wait.
No, I got to give my caveat.
All right.
You got to tell when you're using the advanced voice, which just means you're like, you click the microphone button and you're talking to it. You got to tell it to not interrupt you, because if you stop talking for like 1 second, it's going to interrupt you. So that really,
it has memory. So that's the good thing about ChatGPT and hopefully other LLMs start to get, is memory. And really all that means is probably one of the most annoying things about early ChatGPT was the massive bullet point list that it would spit out. But you can literally tell it, hey, I want you to always be conversational with me. From this point forward, be conversational. Be brief, be concise, be conversational. Don't spit out massive lists of whatever. I just want you to talk to me like a person talks to a person. And then you can have those conversations and it'll help you digest what it's saying. Otherwise, if you just open up voice and you're like, hey, I'm a new agent and I'm wanting to learn how to scale to whatever, it's going to spit out a ginormous list of like bullet point answers. It's going to feel overwhelming. But just like Tyler said, if you start having conversations with it, it will start to build up a memory bank of who you are and your experiences. And then a month later, you can ask it a question using voice and it will have the context of your previous conversations. So it will know who you are. So it's, as of right now, it's totally worth paying whatever, $20 a month.
Yeah,
I mean,
$20 a month.
Totally worth it, because I don't know if you're going to get the memory without it. You might, but it's totally worth paying for. Okay. To train it on who you are, because it can help every single aspect of your process. I mean, A to Z.
In your life.
yeah,
Not even just as a
your
business
life too. Yeah.
Like turning on a heater,
yeah, exactly. I think for like the mid-level agent, like one that's kind of exhausted their warm market, they've maybe gotten the process down for selling one product to one lead that they buy or live transfers or whatever. Where I would use it is to learn new skills. So I would use it to learn copywriting. I would use it to at least get a base foundation. You may need to like, depending on how quickly you can pick things up, you still may need to like look for mentors and stuff outside of just ChatGPT. But I would use it to like learn how to run Facebook ads. I would use it to learn how to like, there's so many desires that I hear from insurance agents that, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to post on social media. I want to do this. I want to have a good camera setup so when I get on Zoom, people take me seriously. I want to, like, Chat GPT can get you guys like 90% of the way there with a lot of things. So that's where I would start, like learning the skill of analyzing your business and the max potential that your current process can get you to, and then realizing, okay, I have a finite amount of time in a week. I work 40 or 60 or 80 hours or whatever. I buy leads, I sell them. Okay, well, you're going to max out at some point. So you're going to have to either hire people, you're going to have to learn how to generate your own leads, you're going to have to learn how to sell bigger policies. You have to do something drastically different because you can't just keep adding hours of work in order to scale. So that's where, one, you could ask ChatGPT, what are the things that I can do differently? But two, if you already have an idea, then you can go use ChatGPT to start those processes of learning those skills and pointing you. I mean, you could even use it to find YouTube videos that would then train you even further on certain things like that. It could probably find YouTube videos better than just searching in YouTube alone. But I mean, let's say you wanted to start a YouTube channel, or you wanted to start sending out emails to your list. Just start by like ideating. Don't just say one sentence and then take whatever it spits out. But like, it could write a full script for you for a YouTube video. It could write a full 90-second script for an Instagram reel. It could, I mean, I found a prompt, and this is back more to like prompt packages, which will probably go away. But I found a prompt where this was already built out. So somebody had, I think, pretty much just like already talked to the GPT, and then they like gave me the GPT. But basically all I had to do was describe my business, and it wrote out 150 different viral hooks that could be used for posts on Instagram. When then be reposted to TikTok or YouTube Shorts or all of those different things. So I think that mid-level, you've already got like one thing down, and you realize, hey, I want to keep growing and scaling. I mean, it can help you write a job resume in order to hire somebody. We used it to help us write a growth and development plan in order to train somebody. Like, there's so many different things. So once you can like pinpoint, whether through ChatGPT or yourself or talking to other peers in the industry, like, what's the next big thing I have to do to go from, 100,000, 200,000, 250,000 to a million, that it's going to be a skill. You're going to have to learn another skill. And like, that's where it can really get you a good starting foundation on those skills.
Even just the awareness is probably the biggest thing that most agents are missing. So most agents don't know. And because if they knew, ideally they'd be doing it, but most agents don't know what their gaps are. They don't know why they can't hit certain levels. So if ChatGPT can bring the awareness of the challenge, because I think a mentor is always going to be necessary, right? Like finding someone who's actually doing it. But it's like you said, Justin, with the awareness, you're asking better questions. So you're going to those people with better questions. Like, you're going to those mentors and not wasting their time. I mean, it'd be too much to get into right now, but imagine downlines wasting so much time for their uplines, just every question wasting their time. It's like that could be consolidated so much to where only good questions are asked.
Yeah, there's two things you could do directly with that. One, you could train your own bot. You could just put every question your downline asks over and over and over again into ChatGPT, and then create a bot that they can start asking ChatGPT those questions. Or what I'd prefer to do is just teach them how to use ChatGPT so that they can ideate, they can start thinking for themselves. The fact that a lot of people, I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like they don't like to empower their agents because they're like, well, then what will they need me for? But the thing is, everything in the world works off of reciprocity. And so if you teach them how to think for themselves, how to do business for themselves, how to learn a skill, they'll stick with you, not because they need you anymore, but because they're thankful that you gave them the tools to free themselves and actually grow on their own. They're not going to go somewhere else. Like, you actually want agents that are self-sufficient, that are going to grow their own businesses and that don't need you because they're the easiest ones, and they're just sticking with you because of reciprocity. They're so thankful that you gave them that info, those skills to begin with. So if you're going to teach any of your agents anything, I would just teach them how to use ChatGPT, because then they can learn anything from there.
Teach a man to fish and he'll never go hungry.
Exactly. Well, why don't we just finish up with like this one kind of question outside of ChatGPT, which is like kind of how we started the podcast. Outside of ChatGPT, what other tools? And then we spent 40 minutes talking about ChatGPT. But outside of ChatGPT, like what other tools should be on the radar? Either currently they should be using, or what could be what's up and coming. Like what should they be looking to once it will be ready?
Go, Josh. You told me all the tools to use, so I'll let you.
I mean,
take it from.
so yeah, I was going to say we barely scratched the surface because ChatGPT is such a massive one, but and we barely scratched the surface. Like we could talk about this for a long time because there's so many things you can do with it. I would say right now there's only like one or two huge groundbreaking tools a year. And there's probably thousands, I mean, if not more, that come out every year, but only a few of them are groundbreaking. They're changing the world kind of tools. I would say if you're using ChatGPT or you're not, you need to be. But outside of that, the only one I can really think of right now that I would say this is probably going to be relevant for most agents would be Notebook LM, and that's just Google's. Tool. You can literally just go to notebooklm.com, and it's essentially you can throw links in there, you can throw resources in there. I mean, I think about an agent in Medicare or in any space, but I think about Medicare, and I think about the knowledge gap that's usually in Medicare and how long it takes for insurance agents to become comfortable in their Medicare knowledge. A platform like Notebook LM, you could throw every single link in there. You could throw every single text resource in there, and then you could ask it questions and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to learn this. Help create a study guide for me." Or Notebook LM will even make a little mini podcast for you based on the information.
We should do that for the next one. We should do like a big breakdown of Notebook LM. I got a good question for you guys though, because I feel like if there's one thing out there that is attracting insurance agents about AI, has a ton of hype behind it, but I don't think I'm on board with it, is bots. So like, what are your guys' thoughts on AI bots? Because dude, like, I mean, these companies, they can build them in a go high level. They can upcharge the shit out of them. Like, it's a really good business model. But if you're relying on a company that's saying, hey, we're going to have AI text all of your leads and do all this stuff, you're most likely getting really ripped off on the cost of it. Because for you to go learn how to set that up, one, you could just go to ChatGPT and figure out how to set that up yourself. But two, it's just a shiny object. It's a really shiny object right now. It's like, okay, I could have AI texting and even calling. Like, that's a pretty big hype thing. I don't know if that's been shut down yet. I feel like we probably all kind of feel that's probably going to get nixed by whatever the government agency.
TCPA.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious, like, what do you guys think on that? Like texting or calling bots?
From personal experience, doesn't work at all. Not even close. It works maybe a little. So like I'll give you an example. We ran a campaign where we had a lead come in, and then we had an AI bot converse with them to set an appointment. I would say let's say we had 100 leads come in. This isn't even an appointment. So this is just successful conversations. It's probably like 30%. So like if you have 100 leads come in, you want to be able to make sure that you're having good conversations with all of them. And sure, maybe you're able to have more conversations at once with an AI bot, but if only 30% of them are good, then that's crap.
To me, 30% sounds kind of good because like your content, most people, dude, unless insurance agents are like lying out their ass to our sales guys, which they might be, some of them are like, yeah, I bought 20 leads or I bought 100 leads and I contacted one. Now they probably dialed through half of them, but
I should rephrase that. So like I'm saying out of the people that we got in contact with that the bot like solicited a response, 30% of those conversations were good.
okay.
So like, but if you're getting a response from a lead, like you want to make the most of, like, that's a hot lead. Like you want to work it. And if your bot's only like having good conversations with like 30% of them, then you're just wasting away.
So it's getting a response. It's getting that hand raise engagement. And then it's kind of like a salesperson is because 60% of the 70%.
So it's getting the response because, all right, so where bots win,
speed to lead.
I think speed to lead. Yeah. Where bots win is speed to lead. They literally, they can engage faster than a person, but
You don't need a bot to do that. You can have an
bots,
automation do that,
at the
in
end of
my
the
opinion.
day, bots are easy to sell. So it's
Yeah.
like selling shovels. Like bots are very easy to sell because they sell this dream of, oh, you don't like doing all this stuff. Here's a bot that can do it for you. So they're very easy to sell. Um, but where bots are going to get totally, I mean, a bot is going to get smoked in a few months by a real agent. So like, and what I mean is not a human agent, but like an AI agent. When those really start to roll out in 6-12 months, they're going to beat bots. Bots right now, for most people, they're just not worth it. I mean,
So when you say agents, because you've talked to me about this before, I guess just give like a quick explanation what agents are, and then I got a question for you.
so if you look at kind of the timeline for what is happening in AI and where it's going, more specifically with large language models like ChatGPT, you went from initial conversations. People were blown away by, I can talk to this and it can talk back to me. Like at the time, I can type and I can ask it questions and it can talk back to me. Then that's where bots started being developed. The next stage is autonomous agents, agents who can essentially do things on your behalf. The next step from that is going to be teams of agents. Um, and then the final step is pretty much what we call like super AI, which is AGI. But bots and real autonomous agents. They're not the same thing. A bot is basically just a really well trained version of a conversation with ChatGPT. At the end of the day, it's a ton of context. That's probably the best way to just explain it without getting too deep into it.
That kind of leads into my question though, of like, okay, well, if chat, whether it's chat GPT or whatever model is powering the conversation, right? Because when we say bots, it's just chat GPT hooked up to a chat widget that they can interact with, and it can pretend to be a human, or sometimes you can train it to not be a human and say that it's AI. People have differing thoughts on how to do that. But so you're hooking it up there. And if that is not great, right? If it's only converting 30% of conversations, what would make this better? Like what?
Autonomous. So a bot is basically, it just responds to a series of prompts, and it's more reactive. It is reactive, and it's focused on a single task, like set appointment. You want to set this appointment. That's your task. Here are a series of situations and prompts and convos and things to keep in mind when you're trying to set this appointment. The next step, which is very close, a true AI agent, which a lot of these companies, because they're selling shovels, they're going to dress their bots up as if they're agents. They're not agents, they're bots. They're just a series of prompts. A true AI agent is going to be autonomous. It's going to
Like
be
free
able to
thinking?
think. Yes, so it'll be able to logic its way through a variety of situations and understand the big picture and the goal, and then just like a person would, they know that the goal is this, so they can think through it logically. A bot is literally just a series of prompts that's dressed up to look really fancy and nice. And I mean, that's why people can break these bots pretty easily. They can ask it a weird question and the bot just breaks down and, acts like a moron and sends them to like a car dealership website,
And we all
you know.
know that final expense leads and the other, all these types of leads that are being fed are going to ask weird questions, or it's going to say, F off, or all this stuff that's just going to break the AI.
I had a lead ask the bot when its Uber was going to be here. Didn't like that question. So, all sorts of nice and weird questions that come to your scheduling bot.
Bots are cool. So like bots are a cool way to kind of dabble, but unfortunately they're sold to agents as, this is going to transform your business and basically allow you to step away from your sales process, and that is nonsense.
So when would you use bots? Obviously, if this agent thing comes out, or when it comes out, I mean, that sounds insane. That's going to change everything. And then eventually, like, there will be physical robots that have AI in them, and it can go mow your lawn for you and all this other stuff. But when we were talking about agents initially, we're still talking about virtual, like they just exist in the
Yeah.
computer. But until that exists, when would you use bots versus the alternative is
Customer service.
okay.
Customer service is when a bot
My
makes
thoughts
sense.
were if you're a single agent and see, this is where there's so many things to it. Like if you're a single agent and you're maxed out on time and you're only making like 100K and you don't have, maybe enough money to hire a setter, then maybe you could use it. But I would just get better at sales.
If
And
it's a
more money.
solo agent, I could see a bot coming in to kind of help bridge the gap and maybe get some more combos. This whole speed to lead scenario, that's where it can make sense. Customer service, like servicing your book, for sure. Like if you can just pack a bot full of an FAQ where you're normally dealing with tons and tons of replying to, this is how you get your, this are your whatever your prescription, drugs or whatever the case might be.
What's the phone
That's where a
number
bot can
for
step in. Totally.
et cetera? Yeah.
If you're thinking a bot can help you in the sales process, it's going to be a very small, like it can, but it's not nearly what it's being marketed as
Well,
being
and
capable of doing.
I think the big problem is that agents use that type of thing to replace a skill that they're not good at. So they
For
can't,
sure.
they don't have the discernment to say, oh, is that conversation good or not? They can just say, well, it clearly messed up here. It asked it for when its Uber's going to be here and it responded weird. Like they can see that, but what they're
An
going
agent
to,
probably looks at it and they're like, my bot is having tons of conversations, so it's good. But
right.
that's not the case.
So they don't have the awareness to know. And this is the most of the people that would buy these bots are the ones that are using it to basically fix a skill that they themselves are not already good at. So they won't even know if it's doing good or not. And then the ones that are good at sales that have used it, like when I was CMO for that one company, we tried it. It didn't work because we can see, hey, this isn't anywhere close to the level of even if my agents just respond. But if I had a fully trained person that I could train them on how to do it, it's not anywhere close to the level. Or if I was actually the one doing it, it's not anywhere close to that level. So that's where you're seeing like Tyler, he recognized right away that like, yes, cool, this is cool, but we're losing 2/3 of potential appointments that could be getting booked if we hired somebody to just fully have those conversations. And so
100%.
that's where like that bridge is. And
it is possible that you could have a rock star setter manage your bot and kind of oversee that and step in. But it's, again, that's more if you're at that level, you're not most agents. Most agents aren't at that level where they have some fully fleshed out team. And most agents are literally just trying to either gain traction or get to that next level. So for most agents, bots are, like you said, an agent's like, I don't really want to set. I don't want to deal with this. So I'm going to get a bot. And it's not a real solution.
I think the rule of thumb everybody should abide by is you should never offload an entire 100% of a portion of your business to a bot. If you're going to use it, there's got to be oversight at all times by a human. The AI agent may change that, but I think with the current state, you should never offload, whether it's setting, appointment booking, especially not sales, any 100% of any portion of your business or sales process to a bot at this point.
Well, you shouldn't even do that with an agency, with humans. Like you shouldn't fully, offset an entire part of your business without oversight, even to a fully trained human. Like you still need, that's the biggest fundamental problem I see in business is that like people hire solutions or they try and outsource things that they aren't good at, that they don't know how to do, when in fact you should outsource things that you are good at that are low leverage activities so that you can then manage it and it will save you time. It's not going to just like magically make things amazing. Otherwise business is hard. Like business is supposed to be hard. Business is competition. Like it's survival of the fittest. You can't, if everybody could just go buy a solution and then everything would be completely fixed with no oversight, none of your own, like having to level up a skill. I mean, someone else would figure out how to come in and beat it.
100%.
Any other closing thoughts?
The AI thing, there's so many, we could talk about all kinds of different scenarios, and I think we should, but Yeah.
We can do a lot of videos. Don't put it all in one.
Yeah. We got to save some ammo for the other episodes. This is episode 4. New
This
podcasts every
episode
week.
is sponsored by Alp.
New videos every week.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Those of you that listen, we really appreciate it. If you guys like this content, let us know. If you guys don't like this content, too bad. Sorry. This is fulfilling for us. And to be honest, like as we start our own stuff, we'll
secret
it's a
projects.
secret, our secret projects. But as we start those and become more public with those, we'll be talking about like what we're doing on a daily basis. So we really just wanted to create this platform for us to just share on a more just casual conversational level, like the things that we're doing, seeing, working in the industry, all that type of stuff. So if you liked it, hit the like button and subscribe. If you didn't like it, hit the subscribe button so I know. That would be really helpful. Thank you. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.